Hello fellow painters, welcome back. I am a little bit late with my contribution for October, but here he is, the Orruk. So grab your paints, brushes and let's start. We will begin by applying a zenithal highlight over our black primed Orruk model. This technique involves aiming your light source, usually a lighter paint, directly down onto the model to create natural highlights. Concentrate on each muscle, enhancing their definition and contours, which will set the stage for more detailed painting later on. Mix Vallejo olive green with airbrush thinner in a 50-50 ratio to create the primary skin tone for our Orruk. With this heavily diluted mixture, gently spray over the skin, paying particular attention to the transition between light and shadow for a smooth gradient effect. You may need to apply several layers to achieve an even, opaque coverage that maintains the subtlety of our initial highlights. Now we will switch to Citadel Creed Camo to accentuate the deep shadows of our Orruk. By spraying from beneath the miniature, we focus on the recesses areas and under muscle to enhance their depth and contrast. This step will help to create better blends between our highlights and midtones, giving the skin a more dynamic and realistic appearance. Prepare for the final highlights by mixing Vallejo white ink with the airbrush thinner at a 50-50 ratio. With this concoction, we will pre-highlight by targeting areas that would naturally catch the light, such as the top of the muscles and facial features. This step ensures a smooth transition and the guide for the subsequent more focused highlights that will bring out our orcs' features to life. With this prepared pre-highlights, we can move on to the next and final highlight on the skin. For the final highlight, one of my favorites. Mix Liquitex Lime Green with Airburst Thinner in a 50-50 ratio to brighten up our orcs' features. Carefully spray this highlight onto the previously pre-highlighted areas to really make them pop. This heavily diluted color allows for a gentle application over transitions to achieve a seamlessly blended highlight. You may find that building up the intensity with multiple thin layers yields the best results, creating a lively and vibrant skin texture. To safeguard all the intricate work you've done on the orc's skin, I will apply a layer of Vallejo matte varnish. This will protect the colors from handling and wear, ensuring that the gradients and highlights remain pristine. Apply the varnish evenly, taking care to cover the entire miniature without pulling to maintain the fine details of our paint job. It's time to dress our orc, starting with the trousers. Use Citadel snakebite leather to lay down the base color, giving them a rugged, worn leather look suitable for an orc's attire. Once the base is dry, bring the texture to life by highlighting the ridges and edges with ochre brown, which will emulate the effect of light catching on raised areas and add dimension to the clothing. Now let's move on to the remaining leather section of our orc's gear. Apply Citadel Gore Grantafor to these areas, establish a rich tanned leather base. After this layer has fully dried, edge highlight with Baneblade Brown to delineate the details and create a worn leather effect. This contrast will simulate the wear and tear on the leather, giving it a more realistic and textured appearance. For the striking yellow armor parts, we will employ Citadel Iyanden Yellow. Begin by building up multiple thin layers to ensure a smooth, solid base, taking care not to obscure any of the fine details. Patience is key here, as a gradual build-up will lead to a vibrant and even finish that will make the yellow armor stand out impressively on our orc figure. To refine the shadows on the yellow armor parts, we will turn to Citadel Snakebite Leather. Use it to tactfully reinforce the shaded areas, enhancing the depth and giving the yellow a richer, more realistic tone. Apply it carefully to the places where shadows would naturally fall, smoothing out the transition between the bright yellows and the darker recesses, ensuring our armor has a three-dimensional and believable look. Next, we will bring some contrast to the yellow armor with the addition of black leather details using Vallejo black. Target the specific leather parts such as straps, belts or patches that you envision in a darker tone. Apply with precision to avoid overpainting onto the yellow areas, creating a sharp distinction that adds complexity and visual interest to our orcs' battle attire. To give the yellow armor parts a final touch of dimension and shine, we will apply Vallejo Yellow for edge highlighting. Carefully trace the raised edges and any areas that would catch the light to make them stand out. This step will not only emphasize the shape and detail of the armor, but also add a level of depth that can really make the piece pop visually. Now let's add some subtle highlights to black armor parts to delineate their edges and contours. Mix a bit of Vallejo light grey into Vallejo black to create a slightly lighter shade. Perfect for edge highlighting without being too stark against the black. Carefully apply this mixture along the edges and any raised details of the black armor to give them a more three-dimensional appearance and help them stand out amidst the other elements of our orcs' attire. For the weapons, particularly the blades, we will use Vallejo white ink to establish pre-highlights. Focus on the areas that would naturally reflect light, such as the sharp edges and flat of the blades. This pre-highlighting stage is crucial for setting up metallic effects we will add later, ensuring that the blades look sharp and realistic reflective. Apply it sparingly. These highlights should be subtle yet effective. To achieve a non-metallic metal effect on the blade, we will utilize Vallejo Caribbean Turquoise. This color will simulate the reflective properties of metal without using metallic paints. Apply it to the flat of the blade and along the edges where we pre-highlighted, blending it in such a way that it creates a smooth gradient from the previously applied white, giving the illusion of a reflecting surface. Remember, achieving a convincing, non-metallic metal look requires patience and controlled brushstrokes to simulate the contrast between light and shadow. For precise detailing on the weapons, we will be using masking tape to create even stripes along the sides. Measure and apply the tape in the parallel lines to ensure each stripe will be of uniform width and perfectly spaced. This method not only ensures accuracy but also protects the underlying paint layers from any mistakes while you apply the stripe colors, resulting in crisp, clean lines that will give your weapons a professional finish. With the masking tape in place, we will paint the exposed areas with Vallejo Moon Yellow to create vibrant yellow stripes on the side of the weapons. The masking tape will help you achieve sharp edges, so apply the paint in smooth, even layers for full coverage. Allow the paint to dry completely before carefully removing the masking tape to reveal your precise, eye-catching yellow stripes, which will add a striking detail to our orcs' weaponry. Following the same masking technique, now use Vallejo Black to fill in the alternate stripes or sections on the weapon's side. The contrast between the black and the previously painted yellow will give the weapon a dramatic and detailed appearance. Ensure the black paint is evenly applied for a solid opaque finish, and wait for it to dry completely before removing the masking tape to avoid smearing and to achieve those clean, sharp lines that make the weapon's design stand out. Begin painting the bandages by applying Citadel Skeleton White, a perfect shade to represent the base color of worn fabric wraps. This paint will also act as a smoother for our blends, bringing together the transitions of the raised textures and recesses of the bandages. Apply it evenly, letting the paint settle into the crevices to create natural shadows and textures, which will give the bandages a realistic look of aged fabric. Now enhance the bandages by lightly spraying Vallejo light brown with near brush from above, simulating the direction of your light source. This step will add depth and volume to the wraps, creating a natural highlight on the uppermost folds and edges. Be mindful of where the light would naturally hit and concentrate your spraying there, giving the bandages a more three-dimensional and realistic appearance. To finalize the bandages, we will employ Citadel Screaming Skull for dry brushing the edges and to add weathering effects. This technique will pick up the raised details and create a worn look, indicate of the harsh life of an orc. Lightly drag the dry brush across the texture of the bandages, focusing on the raised areas to simulate wear and to give it a highlighted effect that suggests exposure and age. It's time to bring a final layer of definition to the skin with Vallejo livery green for edge highlighting. Focus on the most raised parts such as knuckles, elbows, knees and the tips of the ears. Apply the paint carefully to these areas to simulate the effect of light hitting the skin, which will provide a subtle but impactful layer of realism to the orc's muscular contours and features. If you enjoy my painting blogs and enjoyed this recording, leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you the next time. Bye bye!